starting the week on a positive note because I'm taking this little lot I'm about to show you to powder and to vapour. And there she is, all loaded up. So frame's going for a bit of work. That box there's all powder coating, all vapour blasting. Swinging arm's going to get a bit of vapour work. Wheels and that box for powder. And forks going to get a bit of work too. Stripped, I can't get one of them off. So here we've got, this is a part of bike restoration which is tedious, long-winded, and for some people quite scary. Now, I was one of those people that was scared of wiring back in the day, but you just get stuck in and start cleaning and understanding. Most of it's straightforward, so most things need power and an earth, and then most electrical faults, if you break it down, are basically broken wires, bad connections, dirty connections. So this is the wiring loom, complete wiring loom. So it's filthy. I'll zoom in a bit, as you can see, like they all are. And then there's tape coming off, there's breaks in the tape, there's cobwebs, connecting blocks are dirty and oily. However, they're quite simple. You start at one end. I basically put one end loosely in the vise to hold it, and then you've got a bit of resistance to clean and repair, so you get some decent quality insulation tape. This is I bought a 10 pack from Halfords. Expensive, yeah, 10 quid or something like that, but the cheap stuff you get, which is skinny rolls from car boots, is useless. So make sure you buy decent quality insulation tape. It's a drop in the ocean cost wise compared to other things you'll buy on your bike, and also you'll get some bad connectors, cheap little blue and yellow connectors that you can buy in a pack that people just squeeze on. They look terrible, so I suggest you get I bought a box of electrical connectors, decent proper quality ones that you can crimp them on, put sleeves on them, and they look right. In fact, looking at it, I think that's the only one on the whole loom. I think that is the only one, green and black, and that is probably the neutral light off the top of my head. Somebody will correct me on that. So yeah, I'm going to start cleaning at one end, and as I clean, I'll probably start at this end, and as I start cleaning, I go so far, so say a foot down the wiring loom, all perfectly clean, and then I'll go back and do the repairs, because if you wait until the end to repair it, I found you forget where the repairs are needed. So I'm going to do that. So you need a little toothbrush, some cleaning fluid. I mean, there is some proper electrical cleaning fluid, but I just used some household cleaner. Just don't go daft, and some benign spray polish, just because it's benign. It doesn't do anything. All it does is clean. So though purists out there will say, oh, you need to use electrical cleaner, but I don't think you do. So as long as everything's dry when you put it back together. I've never had a fault after I've cleaned a loom, so that's testament in itself, isn't it? Okay, so I might do a bit of filming as I go along and show you how I'm getting on, or at least a bit of before and after on certain sections. Oh, by the way, this is a good few hours work, probably all afternoon, so be prepared to spend some time. Right, so that's about an hour's work. So I've cleaned all, tidied up all these. The wiring's a bit discoloured, but it's clean. And obviously these connectors, apart from cutting them off and doing them again, you can't get them clean between the sleeve and the connector, but you can clean inside as best you can. So I've wiped out inside, and I've got a bit of Scotch Brite, bit of that, and scoured the inside so we get a good connection. And then I've retaped everything. That one's a rubber sleeve, PVC sleeve. The horn connectors have come up okay, but I've retaped all the way along to there, so I'm at that point now. So that's all the front. That's the headlight, indicators, earths, flasher relay, horn. That's all retaped, so no sticky residue, no dirt. So it's just a matter of going along the whole loom doing that. So this is the main connector block for the ignition, and so on. So yeah, I'll show you when it's all done. Probably you don't need to see me cleaning it and taping it, but I'll show you a complete loom when it's done, and it'll be to that standard. Yeah, it's not factory, it's not brand new obviously, but it's clean, tidy, and most importantly I'm checking for any bad connectors or any wear through any cables, or where a cable's been rubbing anywhere that it's not going to earth on the frame or something like that. So even though, yeah, it's an exercise in cleaning the loom and then retaping it, but it's also an exercise in checking the loom meticulously, and the only way you can check them meticulously is by looking at every inch of it. So that's what I do, and it seems to work. I mean, there's going to be also electricians out there that go, oh my god, what's he doing? But as long as it works and it's clean and tidy, I think that's all we need on a restoration, an amateur restoration like I am anyway. Okay, onwards. I'm on the last bit now, and it's a bit messy at the end. The tape's all come off. These are for the ECU ignition box. That's the battery positive. Fuse box, lid missing. I'll see if I can get one of them. And then one of the earths had this ugly, that was on there, spade connector with the ubiquitous blue cover. So I've got a packet of these, so they're the proper things. You put the little, you put the shroud over, and I'll put a female on. What else was there? Something else. Yeah, so I'm going to put a female because there's another earth there next to it, and that's a female. So I'm thinking the loom always has females, and anything that plugs in, as you can see, they're all females. So I'm going to do female on that one as well. And then it's a matter of just retaping these last bits, giving these plugs a good clean, and she's done. All nicely retaped there. Happy days, that's a big job out of the way, and quite therapeutic for me, but I know it's quite boring for some people that. I did forget to mention, some of you eagle-eyed will have noticed, that's the fuse box. Now, somehow, on this end, the multi-plug male, is that the male? Female has gone missing. So somebody's wired up with these cheap connectors. So obviously it works, but it's ugly. So I might see if I can find online from an electrical supplier another 4-pin female, and then insert all these. That'll neaten it up. So yeah, it's a bit messy that, but not a lot I can do about it if I can't find a new connector block. Just thought I'd show you the new connector. So that's what I'm on about, female bullet with the plastic clear shroud over the top. Looks very neat and tidy. Not quite standard because they're heat crimped at the back, but good enough. Looks nice and tidy, more suitable. So here's the completed, tidied up, retaped loom. That's it in all its glory. So we go in close there, all nice and clean. Like I say, it's never going to look brand new, but it's a heck of a lot tidier. All retaped, that's the main thing. I couldn't get a connector block for that fuse box, so I've just neatly taped it up. It looks fine, it's not going anywhere. I'm getting a cover. I'm buying a few genuine second-hand bits from a breaker, and I'm just getting a list together. So part of my list is the white fuse box cover for that. But yeah, if we go along, it's all neatly taped. Looks a heck of a lot better and nice, and no dirt on it, nice and tidied up and cleaned. Couple of new heat shrunk shrouded connectors, but that's it. It's tidy. It's not a lot to look at, I know, but the reason I showed you the loom is just to put you amateur restorers out there, and I'm an amateur restorer, but to put you amateur restorers out there, make it a bit easier to tackle, because most people are scared to death of touching wiring, but there's no real reason, because the loom will work. It's all designed and planned to work. You just got to find any faults with it, and faults are usually, like I said right at the start, faults are usually wires rub through the earth, cause shorts, or failed connectors, or just general dirt. So I've done quite a few of these now, and they've always worked afterwards. So get stuck in, guys. It's not that difficult. It's not a dark art like everybody thinks. Okay, so I'm just come to inspect the crank. I've not had a chance to do it yet, so I've come to inspect it, and while it's out, obviously makes sense to replace any bearings or get it rebuilt if it needed it. I was hoping it to be fine, however this is left, so that's the generator, so that's left to right, so that's the primary drive there on the end. Now the quick test of the bearings is if they should be silent when you spin them. So we've got three, well, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll start from last. So we've got the magneto wheel, which is full of magnets, and then you've got the coil that goes inside that to make you charge, to power all your electrics. Then we've got, I don't know if you can see that end crank seal there, left hand side. Then we've got left hand side main bearing, the webs, first conrod for the left hand cylinder and big end bearing. Then we've got, that's called a labyrinth seal, so that keeps the separate charge. So when the left hand cylinder's full of mixture ready to ignite in the crankcase and the right one's just on power stroke, well, that is the seal that keeps them separate, so that seals the crankcase. Then we've got centre main bearing, right hand side web, conrod, big end. Then we've got right hand side crank seal, which is the one that fails when people go on about their crank seals failed and it burns loads of white smoke because it's burning the gearbox oil. Well, that's the seal that goes hard and lets oil through. It doesn't lay it around the sides, it lets it through the middle, so where it sits on the crankshaft. And then we've got the right hand side main bearing, which you'll notice has got a groove in. Now that's for a ring that sits in the crankcase, which keeps that from floating around. They've also got pins. So these pins hold the bearing in the same place. All three will have a pin. There we go, there's another one there. That one hasn't got one. Should have, but it hasn't. And then we've got the primary drive. So, come to check it, this is how you check them. And like I said, if they're quiet, they're fine. So let's spin them one at a time. So let's start with the right hand. You can hear a rumble. That one's the best one. Slight rumble. The centre one, this is great. So that's buggered. That really is bad. That's a noisy, noisy bearing. And then you can even rock it side to side. You can hear it. The left hand one, it's got a rumble and a slight tinkle. So centre one's really bad. Left hand side has got a rumble and a rattle. Right hand side, you might not even be able to hear it, but there's a bit of a rumble. Not too bad. But if you're doing it, you do all three. Then you can hear those. That, I mean, the test really is to pull it up and down and see if there's any play. There's a slight bit of play in that, ever so slight, but it is really noisy. But obviously the crank's being split, so the crank webs are pushed together, press fit, and it all comes apart. So all these will be separate. So as a matter of course, you do the big ends. Conrods should be fine. Usually are, but that one's rattly too. So as your crank's going to be all apart anyway, there's no mileage in not doing the lot. So 3 main bearings, 2 big end bearings, and while you're at it, you do the end crank seal and you do the right hand side. That's the main seal. So the whole lot comes to 200 odd pound, 250. You can get these bearings. Don't have to buy genuine Suzuki. They're just Koyo bearings. And if you can find the right sizes, I've rebuilt them without, just got Koyo. Because as you know, Suzuki, all manufacturers mark up their stock like extortionately. And for some reason, especially bearings. So there are a few places that do kits where you get all 5 bearings, the end seals, and possibly even a conrod, 2 conrods. The centre labyrinth seal is no longer available, but it's not really a soft seal because it sits in grooves in the crankcase, so they're generally reserviceable really. But there is a lot of play in there. So that is completely knackered in there. So I won't know until I send it to my man to see what he comes up with. That does seem bad there. So I won't know until he's come up with that. So the trouble is now it's a long process as well. It takes about 4 weeks. So it will slow the job. I mean, I've got plenty to be getting on with, obviously, but it will slow rebuilding the engine down a bit because I can't put the crank. I can put the gearbox back together and all that, as we've discussed before. The crank's separate from the gearbox, so I can do all that and get the bottom end ready for the crank to go in. So there's a bit of work to do we can catch up on, but all that stuff's away getting vapor blasted anyway. So there we go. I thought I'd explain worn crank to you. So when people say, oh, my crank's gone, that's what they mean. They mean these bearings are noisy and with loads of play, and or the crank seals have gone as well. So like I said, the right hand side one, that'll make you suck your gearbox oil in, because it comes in from the outside and goes into your combustion chamber and burns. So that burns white smoke. And the left hand side one will make your bike run lean, so you've got a chance of seizing because there's too much air coming into the left cylinder. So that's a brief description. I know that's very basic, but that's the basics that you need to know. So I'll get online now and start ordering bearings, I think. Right then, sun's come out, so I thought I'd get, this is a lot of the plastic parts that are dirty, air box, air vents, pipes, chain guard, you name it, and they're all filthy, greasy, oil tank, seat bases that I'm going to rebuild, you name it, it's here. So I thought I'd be productive and degrease all of it and give it a good scrub. So quick look round it all so you can see how dirty it all is. Air scoop there's filthy. Mudguard covered in oil from the tank. Even the backlight there's filthy. All disgusting. So I think I'll just give it all a good degrease. Even the seat's disgusting. So give it all a good degrease and that'll be a good job well done. Right, so after many hours scrubbing away with degreasant, soapy water, you name it, I've got a lot of this rubber and plastic parts cleaned up. So it all still needs polishing, blacking, you name it, but it is all clean and degreased. I mean, like the backlight there, it's clean and degreased, but it's dull, so I tend to use T-cut on them to make them nice and shiny. But inside's lovely and clean, the back's clean, a lot better. The hoses, which are always a bugger to clean, get the in-ground dirt off, they've smartened up nicely. Inlet rubbers there, well, manifold rubbers, chain guard, hugger, still got the original sticker on, which I'm glad about. Under tray, that took some time, always full of oil around there. It was disgusting, to be honest. Then I got both seat bases, they were pretty manky, so that looks pretty good now. Likewise the other one, the only one that you can't ever get fully clean is the oil tank, but then it's stained with red 2-stroke oil, but it'll be the same when I put some more back in. So, but the water tank's cleaned up lovely. Airbox you don't really see, but I'll give that some back to black treatment. So that's been a good afternoon, good session. Onwards and upwards. I thought it was about time I started doing some cleaning up of other items. So here's the rear shock. So there's the damper body. Obviously the spring's off, and the two what would you call them, locking collars that have the C-spanner, and then the retaining cup and shims for the bottom. And then there we've got the hose and the reservoir. Now it is possible. There's two ways of restoring these, and I've done both. So it is possible to restore them without opening it all up, so the gas and the oil are in there. Now I've no way of getting it back in if I release this. The only other way of doing it is to send it off to, my main man is TW Suspension in Preston. So the only other way to do it is to send it off for a proper restoration, which costs a lot of money, like £400. So on the last bike I did and the Schick, I managed to refurb these myself. So I give it a super deep clean, and then, as you know, I've already told you, the green olive drab zinking isn't available anyway. So it's only the body of the shock damper that is in that. In fact, this one might even be black. They're all slightly different from model to model. So I could either spray this in satin, clean it all up, spray this in satin black, or I can do it in that olive drab green paint that I've got. And then the reservoir is just aluminium, so that I'll get the sticker off, the decal off carefully, because I'm not sure you can still get them. So I will get that off carefully so I can reapply it. But also, that rubs down nicely and cleans up quite well because it's aluminium. And the hoses just need a degrease and polish up. So I'm going down that route, and it's not just a monetary issue, it's a time issue, because the TW where I send it, it's literally 2 or 3 month turnaround, so it's a speed issue as well. And to get a bike, when you're building a bike up, obviously you need the shock in to hold all the swinging arm up, etc, etc, so it's all interlinked. So I thought I'd get on with this today, clean it all up at least, and then during this week get it painted, and that should be good to go when I get the powder coat back next week, or even later this week, to get the spring back on and rebuild this. And then we're in a place where we can fit this shock, so it should be a good place. So that's what it looks like. I'll do some cleaning up, maybe show you a bit of how I do it, and go from there. This is all cleaned up now, this shock, so a bit more polishing to do on the reservoir, but generally in pretty good nick. It's not like new, obviously it can't be, but it's pretty good. So I've cleaned up all the hose and the joins, unions, and the collet looks good. The rubber bung, that just needed a degrease, and the body I've rubbed down, which is ready now for the olive drab replica paint. So good couple of hours work there. That once that's done, that should be good to fit to the bike when I get the frame back. So here we've got some of the bits that have already sprayed up in the olive green drab. So they've had the clear primer, the olive green drab colour, and some satin lacquer clear coat over the top. Now I've told you in the past about this problem we've got with the olive drab. You can't get it done anymore because of the chemicals, etc. So I'm quite happy with how this process has worked out. You can only really do it on bracketry that doesn't get touched once it's fitted. So 2 screws will go in there, that's a power valve, cable, bracket that holds all that in place. This is for the backlight inside the tailpiece. So things like this that don't really get touched after they're fitted, it's perfect for. These hold the headlight and all that inside the fairing. So yeah, you can see how it's a pretty good representation of the olive drab green. It's a bit more metallic, but that's okay, don't mind that. It's the right colour, it's perfect colour. The only thing I might look at is trying a matte lacquer in future, but I'm splitting hairs really. But they're absolutely ideal. That's a radiator mounting bracket for the top of the radiator. So I'm going to do the rear damper, and there's loads of small fairing brackets, so I hang them on my washing line there, of all places. But in this weather it's absolutely perfect. A little bit breezy today, but it'll be all right. So here are the next parts. These have just had the clear primer, so I don't need to go through them all, but fairing brackets and hose brackets, cable brackets, etc. And the rear damper, that's on there. So they're primed now, just letting it dry. Then it'll be the olive drab, and finally the clear coat. But ideal for something like the shock damper. Perfect, because that is olive drab green in the end. I thought it might have been black, but it's not, it's green. Here's the culmination of a couple of days work. Not solid obviously, but with drying times and different coats of things, so I have got more here than one bike, because obviously like they're the fairing brackets at the top, so there's enough for 3 bikes there. But really happy how they've turned out, and maybe I've solved this olive drab zinc process. Really happy how they come out. The colour match is superb. And there's the shock, the damper. So I've sprayed the body in the olive drab, and I've lacquered the reservoir too, just to protect it. The handlebars are lovely. They are really good. So yeah, that's good. That's a good job done. Just need to get the black zinc back now, and I can start building a few things up. Oh, and the powder coat obviously, because I need the spring for the damper. But making progress.